What's up, friends? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are talking all things new at REPHR for holiday 2025. I have the new holiday Yosegi brush and both of the two new Shodo brushes that they're going to be launching on Monday, October 27th. We're going to be doing demos. I've got close-ups, all the details, comparisons, everything that you need to know about these new brushes. So if you want to hang out with me today and play with some new fude, then keep watching. Now, if you clicked on this video, then you probably already know what REPHR is, but just in case we have any newbies out there, REPHR is one of my favorite makeup brush brands of all time. Everything is handmade by artisans in Japan, so it is Japanese fude, as we like to call it. And for what you're getting, something handmade, handcrafted, very affordably priced. If you watch my channel, if you watch literally any of my beauty videos and you've seen me use these brushes many times. I have multiples of all the brushes. And this time of year is always super exciting because REPHR always comes out with some new products for holiday. So that's what we're gonna be covering in this video. I'll start off by saying that these products were gifted to me from REPHR. They always send me all of their new things, but this video is not sponsored. Please comment down below if you guys have any questions that I can help you out with. I wanna help give you all the information you need so you can decide if you wanna spend the money on these. I am gonna put my affiliate link in the description box down below. If you want to support my channel, shopping through my link is really the best way to do so. This is a very niche topic and I do these videos for you guys, my community, to help you out because we love this stuff, right? So I'll have all the details about this launch, the brushes, the prices, and my links in the description box down below. And now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about the new brushes. So there's going to be 3 new brushes in this launch. The first one is going to be the Yosegi brush. This is the limited edition holiday brush for 2025. Once this sells out, it sells out. This is made in limited quantities. This is gonna be more of like a collector's item. If you are a fan of REPHR, if you want something special, something really giftable, this is gonna be a slightly more like elevated, luxurious, limited edition option for the holiday season. And then the other 2 brushes, which we'll get to in a second, those are gonna be the 2 new Shodo brushes. Those are intended to be a part of the permanent line. So if they sell out now, they will restock them, they will come back. What I will start off by saying at the beginning of this video is that REPHR is going to be having their annual like Black Friday holiday sale later this month. The prices that these are launching at are going to be the same prices for these brushes that you see in the sale later on. So if you want any of the 3 brushes that I'm covering in this video, I would recommend buying them on October 27th or like sooner rather than later, because if they sell out, then they're not going to make it to the sale, if that makes sense, and the price is going to be exactly the same. So hopefully that is helpful. But let's talk about the details first of the Yosegi brush. Something I really like about REPHR as a brand is that they're always looking for new, or not new, but traditional Japanese artisanal techniques that they can then adapt to brush making, that they can incorporate into the artistry of the tools that they make. And there's a lot of really beautiful details and techniques in what looks to be a very kind of aesthetically pleasing, streamlined brush. I'll start off with the packaging. This is gonna come in a beautiful cedar wood gift box. Not only is it beautiful, but it also smells good as well. It smells like cedar. So if you're a fan of that kind of like cedar wood smell, then you're going to enjoy this. It is wrapped with a beautiful red tone washi paper. The box slides open and inside you have your holiday brush. This is gonna be retailing for $89, so the price point is a bit higher than what you see in the permanent line, and that is because there's a lot of hand-done artisanal techniques and details that go into this brush. So I'm gonna walk you through those, and then you can decide if this is gonna be worth it to you. It's definitely luxury. You can use this as an everyday brush, but it definitely is kind of like a step above the other brushes that they do. Let's start off with the handle. So the handle is made of 4 different pieces of wood that are fused together. And each piece of wood, we have walnut and maple, by the way, so you have 2 different colors here. Each piece of wood has to be like perfectly, precisely carved by hand, and then once again fused together so that they fit perfectly in this little pattern. This is a traditional Japanese woodworking technique called Yosegi, and that's why this is called the Yosegi brush. So they wanted to take something that is very traditional in Japanese art and apply it to fude, and I think it's really beautiful. I love the look of the natural wood. It's incredibly smooth. It doesn't even feel like these are separate pieces. Like I can't even feel, you know, like the cracks in between, like that's how closely fused together they are. I'm really impressed. I just think it looks very elegant. It's kind of like the quiet luxury of Fu Day. I like all the different textures and finishes we have going on here. So personally for me, I think it's really beautiful. The markings that are on the handle are also all hand done. Apparently, I don't know if it's because of the curvature of the handle or the details or it was the wood. They couldn't do this by machine. These are not like stamped on, screen printed on or anything. It's not done by machine. All of this is hand done. And I'm honestly like, I don't know, like how do they get it? How do they get it to look consistent? I'm not really sure, but it looks perfectly symmetrical, really beautiful. So it adds a nice little kind of gold touch to the handle. Now the ferrule, which is this part right here, which holds the bristles, this is 24 karat gold plated brass. So another little luxurious finish. And I love gold. I love the contrast of the beautiful gold metallic tone with the natural wood. And then finally, we have the bristles. And these are premium goat hair. They are extremely soft, very soft. They are a little bit softer than the ones in the main line. This does feel a bit more premium to me. I don't know if that's the case, but that's what it feels like to me. And the shape of this is, I think, a very functional, very multi-purpose type of shape that you can use for so many things. You'll see right here, it's quite fluffy, which I like. And it also has an angled shape, which makes it really good for bronzer, for blush. If you want to do a contoured blush or just, you know, like a sculpting type of technique on the cheek. You could even use this for highlighter, and we are going to use it in just a second, but just want to show you some close-ups there of what this looks like. And I know some of you guys who collect Fu Day, you are going to ask me this in the comments. Yes, I did wash this brush. So this is what it looks like after it is washed. I do expect it to kind of plume out a little bit more with use. I'll show you a little side by side here of the REPHR number 5, one that I've been using for, you know, like at least a year, and one that is brand new. Brushes like this, they do usually bloom out a little bit more after you use them. So just kind of keep that in mind, like it will fluff out a little bit. And when you first get it, it might look a little bit more like tightly packed. So I actually don't have any blush on right now because I figured we can apply it here live using the Yosegi brush. Like I said, I think this is going to be best, at least for me, for bronzer and blush. You could use this for all over powder, but personally, I'm probably going to be using it for bronzer and blush. I love how fluffy it is. I have right here the Kozakh Blushes Life Baked Blush in the shade Dreamland. This is one of my favorite neutral blushes. And I just want to show you how this brush very airily applies the pigment. See, when it hits my face, it kind of like splays out like that. Now I'm pressing kind of hard, right? But I think you get the idea of how it kind of lands on the cheek. It's really good for diffusing product. It makes it very easy to blend, and it feels incredibly soft, like a little whisper, a little kiss from an angel on my cheek. So I think it's a good size, and I can definitely see this being something, in fact, it will be something that I keep on my vanity to just use in my everyday routine whenever I'm applying powder products. So there you go. This is a very glowy blush, as you can see. Also, if you have blushes that are very pigmented, but you want more of a light look, I think going in with something very fluffy and airy like this is always a good way to go. And because it is goat hair, it does a good job of picking up the pigment. Goat hair tends to be like a little bit thicker and hardier than other types of, you know, soft bristles. So you get the softness, you get the airiness, but because it's the goat hair, it's still gonna pick up the pigment decently and then disperse it on the cheek. It's a really beautiful brush. I love these types of shapes. They're very multi-purpose. I feel like this is something that I could use in my everyday routine. I think I'm gonna do a little bit of highlighter as well. I just have right here the Hourglass Holiday Deer palette. This type of brush, this size, pairs really nicely with these Hourglass palettes. I always get questions like, which brush should I use? Because the pans are a little bit on the small side. So this is the kind of thing that just like fits in the bronzer, fits in, you know, the finishing powders. So this would be good if you picked up any of the Hourglass palettes. So I'm going to put on a little bit of the highlighter, and I'm just taking it on the tip of the brush so that I can have a little bit more control, and then just lightly dust it on like that. If you have any glowy blushes like the ones from RMS, the Chantecaille holiday ones, there's so many out there, guys. This is good for really like buffing those into the cheekbone as well. But if you're gonna go in with like a more precise highlighter placement, I recommend just taking it on the tip here and kind of wisping it on just like this. So that's how I would personally use it. I am gonna do a couple of comparisons because I've gotten so many questions from you guys up against the other holiday brushes from previous years and then some of the other ones in the REPHR collection. And the biggest question that I receive from my community is, how does this new Yosegi brush compare to the holiday brush from last year? Well, other than the fact that the design is like completely different and the type of bristles are different as well, although these are both really, really soft, probably about equal in softness, the shape is the biggest difference. So the Yosegi brush has a more angled shape. It is kind of long and fluffy. It is more narrow as well, whereas the one from last year, this is more flat. This is like a paw print shape. So I'll kind of show you how they hit on the face. The one from last year, it's like wider, it splays out a lot more. The Yosegi brush is not as flat, it has more density to it. So I feel like you have a little bit more blending power with this one. This is the kind of thing that I would use more if you want like a sculpted look, whereas the one from last year, this is also gonna give you a very airy application. I love this brush and I use it all the time, but just because of the shape, like it's not quite as good as the Yosegi brush for using it as contour, a sculpting blush, sculpting bronzer, bronzer. So they're both really good and I can use them for very similar things, but like the aesthetic is different, the shape is different, and overall the Yosegi brush just has a much denser feel than the one from last year. I also want to quickly show you the holiday brush from 2023. This is quite different. This is a much like narrower, smaller brush. There's no angle to it at all. This one has a much simpler shape. This one came with like very premium goat hair bristles, so it has a little bit more softness to it, but honestly, guys, they're all soft. All the holiday brushes are incredibly soft. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I personally like this shape a lot more. I like something that's bigger and fluffier. I find this to be more versatile. This one is cute, but I really only use it for like certain types of blushes and for highlighter. Just in my everyday routine, this is something that I reach for more often. I also have right here the REPHR number 5. This one is like your standard cheek brush. If you just want your standard go-to blush brush, this is a really good one to go for. This one's also really good for the Hourglass palettes or any type of like multi-product type of palette because it's very fluffy, but it's still not too big. However, you don't get that beautiful angle and kind of like sculpted shape that you get with the Yosegi brush. So it's definitely a different experience. The Yosegi brush is a lot fluffier and airier. This has like more density to it and it just has kind of like that more rounded shape. And lastly, hopefully I didn't miss any important ones, but I also have here the REPHR number 4. This is the little angled sculpting cheek brush. And I think you can tell right there just how much bigger and fluffier and like grandiose the Yosegi brush is. I really only use the REPHR number 4 if I'm going to do a powder contour, and that is not really that often. If I am going to do a contour, it's going to be more of like a soft blended type of situation where I'm going like this. This is what you're going to want to reach for if you want like that really defined contoured look. Comment down below and let me know if you have any other questions about the Yosegi brush. I think it is absolutely beautiful. I wouldn't pay the $89, however, if you don't like the aesthetics of the brush, and obviously if you don't think that you're going to use something of that shape. I personally think it's beautiful, so for me, it's a wonderful collector's item. So if it wasn't gifted to me, I totally would have purchased it myself. I love collecting all of the holiday brushes. It's not a must-have, you know, it's a limited edition item, but I think a lot of you guys are really gonna be happy with it. If you are looking for a more affordable alternative and you wanna shop from REPHR, I would probably go with the REPHR number 5. I have, gosh, I'm looking at my brush cart right now. I have several of these and they're like always dirty. I was able to find a clean one to show you in this video. I love this brush. This is a great cheek brush. If you just want something that's very multi-purpose, this is the one that I would go with, and it is going to go on sale later this season, so wait and get it at a lower price. But you do not get that beautiful kind of airiness and the angled shape that you get from the Yosegi brush, so just kind of keep that in mind. However, I do think that you will really enjoy this shape. Okay, next up, I am so excited for these. We have two, not one, but two new Shodo brushes, and one of them, guys, is a Shodo face brush. Yes! Now, if you're new to REPHR, you might be wondering, what is Shodo? What are Shodo brushes? Well, last holiday season, REPHR launched the Shodo eye set. And Shodo is a technique that is typically used in Japanese calligraphy brush making. So once again, they took a technique that is usually used for something else and they applied it to makeup brushes. So basically what they do with this Shodo technique is that they layer the bristles. So the end result of the brush is that it is a lot fluffier and wispier, and that makes it great for very kind of natural makeup application. If you like a very natural, diffuse type of look, maybe you have that one blush that's like really pigmented and you always have to use a really light hand, these brushes are gonna be great for that. Same with eyeshadow. If you just want a very natural, diffuse look, if you want the makeup to just kind of blend itself, these brushes are great for that. And I'm gonna show you a side-by-side here so you can kind of see what I mean of a Shodo brush versus a non-Shodo brush. Notice how the Shodo brush, it's just like wispier, like the tip of the brush has that kind of like wispy, fluffy look, whereas the non-Shodo brush, it has that kind of like blunt, more defined shape. These Shodo eye brushes have become an absolute staple in my collection. I use them all the time in my reviews and demos for you guys, and I'm definitely going to be purchasing more this month because I need multiples, guys, and they are restocked, so I'll link them down below. But I really, really wanted to see some Shodo face brushes. So we finally have our first ever Shodo face brush. This is the Shodo 5, and this is a beautiful little powder brush, a cheek brush, I would probably call it, because it is a little bit on the smaller side. I'll show you here just a little side by side with the Yosegi brush. This one looks kind of small, right, up against the Yosegi, but you can probably see this one also has an angled shape to it. It has that kind of like paw print type of shape, but because it's made using that Shodo technique, it is just like beautifully wispy and fluffy and soft. So we are gonna go in with some blush on the other side of my cheek, and I'm actually gonna be using a cream to powder brush. Because this is goat hair, you obviously can use it with powder products, but I wanted to use it with a cream to powder type of blush. This is from Soshi. These are super popular on my channel, and this is the shade Speakeasy, because I feel like these brushes, they also work really well with creams or these like really popular kind of cushion blushes that like every brand seems to be coming out with right now. And a lot of times with these blushes, I end up picking up too much product. So I wanted to use the Shodo 5. See how it's like really, really light? And you can build it up, but it's kind of nice that when I'm doing this, I'm only picking it up on like that top layer, right? But then the bottom layers add a density to the brush that helps me to then blend the product. Now with the Yosegi brush, it's so like wispy, it wouldn't really work for this, right? You don't get as much blending power. This is a lot denser. I think that the Yosegi brush, because it's bigger, it's multi-purpose in the sense that I think it would be good for all over powder, powder bronzer, powder blush, powder highlighter. This one, I would use this more so for blush, but I think you can use it for different types of formulas a little bit more easily. And also highlighter as well. It's just a more precise brush. You could also use this for setting powder on your under eyes just because it's smaller. So you could use it for that, dusting on powder wherever you need it. See how seamlessly that went on? And if I want, I can build a little bit up like here on the apples of the cheeks. It's a very, very versatile brush. This was gifted to me, but I am definitely gonna buy at least two, at least two when they go on sale on Monday. Let me tell you, I need more of these in my life. So there we go. It handled that cream to powder formula absolutely beautifully. Let's do a little bit of highlight with this one as well. I'm just gonna pop back into my Hourglass Deer palette, and I'll let you see right there just how that fits nicely into the pan. If I wanted to go into the powders, I could do that. This one is probably even easier to use for highlight than the Yosegi. Just in case you're deciding between them, like if you only want to buy one, this one's going to give you more precision. Now, the most common comparison request that I received for the Shodo 05 is with brush 38. This used to be a limited edition brush. It was a collaboration with Alexandra Anel here on YouTube, and it was so popular that they made it permanent. So this is now brush 38, not to confuse anybody. This is a much smaller brush. It is not as fluffy. It does have like a kind of overall similar idea, however, so I can see why people were asking, like, how does it compare? But I think it's pretty clear. I mean, the size is very, very apparent. Brush 38 is something that I like to use for more detail work. So I love this for blending. I love this very much for highlighter. I use this a lot for highlighter. I love it for precise powder placement, like usually right here, kind of around the nose, or right here underneath the eye. You can use this for blush, but I like this for more like precise types of tasks. I know they say, oh, you can use this for so many things, but I like this for more like precise tasks. And it's just like the perfect shape and has that wispiness that it lends itself really well to those types of makeup applications. But the Shodo 05, this is something that I think it's going to be great for any kind of blush and highlighter. So that's what I would use each of these for. I'm really happy to own both. I did buy a backup of this brush when it first launched, so I'm really glad that it's now permanent. So I can use it on camera and recommend it to you guys as a permanent brush in the REPHR lineup. And then real quick, here's a comparison with the Shodo 5 and the regular 05 cheek brush. The 05 is much bigger. It just kind of like overall fluffier. The 05, you can definitely get away with using this as a bronzer brush. I do it all the time, especially with the Hourglass palettes and any kind of like travel palette that I have. Whereas the Shodo 05, again, this is more of like a blush brush for me. And I think you get more control with the 05 due to that paw print shape. And then here's a comparison with the REPHR 04. This one is just like much denser and has that kind of like blunt shape. So you're not gonna get that like soft, diffused look. It's not gonna just sort of blend itself. This is really for like packing on that color if you're going to be contouring. I really don't use this brush like all that much, I'll be honest with you guys. It's not one of my absolute REPHR favorites. It's a good brush, but it's just like not a shape that I use that often. Whereas something like this works with like every type of blush that I have in my makeup drawer. And then we have the Shodo 06, this tiny little itty bitty detail brush that is so gentle on the lower lash line. I just live for these little detail brushes. They make it so much easier to do my makeup in like a very neat, crisp, professional way. This is exactly what I've been looking for. I really don't have a brush that is exactly like this. It is a very, very tiny shader brush. But again, it's a Shodo brush, so the tip of it is super wispy and delicate, makes it really easy to blend out color. I'm gonna use this on the lower lash line. I just have my Hourglass Swan palette here, and I'm gonna use the highlighter from this palette and just apply that to the lower lash line, just so you can get a sense for just how small this is, and see how the little top bristles, they're kind of like windshield wiping back and forth. They're doing their job and blending the shadow, and the end result is something really diffused. It's soft, it's wispy, but because the brush is flat, you can still be precise. It doesn't just like bloom out the color on your lower lash line, which I feel like it looks messy and then my eyes look, you know, kind of heavy and tired. And because it's flat, you also can use this for the inner corner. Like the perfect size for that. Kind of like brush it up. If you wanted to do a little like something in like the center of the eye. If you went into a pigmented matte, like a chocolate brown or a black or a gray or something like that, you could totally go on the upper lash line and just kind of create a little bit of definition, but it's gonna be really, really diffuse. You're not gonna be like, whoa, so much pigment. So it's just like a really beautiful, delicate little detail brush. Yeah, I mean, I want multiples of these. These two brushes, the Shodo 05 and the Shodo 06, these are going to be sold in a bundle for $45. So to start, it's going to be in a bundle. They didn't make as many of the eye brush. I think they're just kind of like testing it out. They want to get your feedback. So they're going to give a really good deal, both brushes for $45. And yeah, I'm definitely going to buy at least 2 of the bundles, maybe 3. Comment down below, friends. Let me know if you have any questions about those brushes. Hopefully I covered everything. I do have 2 more things that I want to mention before I forget. The first thing is that moving forward with each new order from REPHR, they are going to give you a prototype product for free. So if you order any of these new products on Monday, October 27th, you are going to receive a free prototype brush that you get to try out. And then, you know, REPHR follows up with you via email and you provide your feedback. They use that feedback to either improve the product, launch new products, come out with other types of products. Everything that they do is very like community and customer feedback base. So just kind of keep that in mind. You will be getting some sort of freebie if you purchase over a certain amount on their site. And then once that prototype sells out, there will be a new prototype to try out. So that's kind of the idea. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that they also have launched new and improved versions of their eyelash curler. They made them a little bit more sturdier. They're using like a different paint that lasts longer. They made a couple of little tweaks and improvements. My understanding is that the shapes are the same. So if you have a go-to shape that you like to use or that is on your wish list, those are the same. We have the 18R, which is described as being narrow and round. So it has more of like a curvature to it. And then there's also the 20R, which is wide and flat. I tried both of them because honestly, guys, I couldn't remember which one I already had in my collection. And I actually like the 20R the best for my eye shape. It's a little bit wider and kind of like captures all of my lashes. So if you happen to have like wider eyes like myself, I would probably go with the 20. If you have smaller, more curved eyes, then I would go with the 18. So hopefully that's helpful if we have like, you know, similar eye shape. Whew, okay, I think I remembered everything. I'm checking my notes here. If I missed any of the details, I will include them in a pinned comment down below. And let me know your questions. Let me know your thoughts about these new brushes. I would love to know, are you impressed? Are you gonna pick any of them up? Personally, I liked all the products that they've launched this holiday season. I think they're great. I'm gonna be purchasing some myself. Multiples, probably, let's be real. I'm really excited for this launch and I hope you guys are as well. Thank you for listening to this very chatty, lengthy video. And if you are looking to hear about any more of my REPHR favorites, like my absolute favorite brushes from the brand, I will link a recent video that I filmed down below where I cover all of my favorites. That video is up to date, I promise. So if you wanna hear about more of the brushes in the permanent line, definitely check that out. If you like this video, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one.